Hi everyone, welcome to Viet Boss Babes, where we inspire Viet women in business, culture, and community. I'm your host, Nhi Nguyen. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome a very special guest. Nhi Nguyen is Viet Boss Babes, who is also a CEO and founder of MaiMoney, a fintech platform helping everyday Vietnamese get access to wealth management solutions. Nhi left a corporate career in Australia to pursue entrepreneurship in Vietnam at the age of 25. Her journey is one of resilience, vision, and a whole lot of guts. So, Nhi, thanks so much for joining us from Vietnam. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
No, thank you so much, Mia. Thank you for inviting me here. And also congratulations on your venture as
Thank
well. And,
you.
it's a great opportunity for me to here today to, speak about my experiences with yourself and to anyone
Yeah.
that's hearing.
So I guess to kick us off, please share a little bit more about yourself. Where were you born, your education, and then the corporate Australia life before you came back to Vietnam?
So my name is Nhi. I'm currently the CEO of MaiMoney. Prior to starting MaiMoney, I spent 9 years in Sydney. I was born and raised in Vietnam. I'm very thankful to have met Mia during primary school. I
Yeah,
think it's been that
oh,
long.
so long.
Yeah, it's been ages. But yeah, like I think after high school, I did spend quite a bit of time in Australia. I did a bachelor's of commerce. I majored in finance and information systems because I've always been interested in both finance and technology. So what better it is to be able to marry the two things together. And then I then went on to do a bit of corporate work in Australia. So I started my career working for an investment bank, but not in the investment banking division, more on the product development side, specializing in wealth management products. So I think that really got me into wealth management. Most recently, I went to Bloomberg and I specialized in fixed income and derivatives. I just came back to Vietnam a year and a half ago, and it's been a transformative journey for myself. I'm still going through it every day. All my experiences throughout high school and my studies in Australia, my corporate career really led me to where I am today.
So what I guess for this piece, give me like a 30-second pitch about My Money. How would you pitch
Oh,
it to the audience who like
oh,
don't know what My Money is?
yeah. So MaiMoney is a wealth management platform that we wanted to democratize wealth management solutions and services to the everyday investor. These services were traditionally reserved for high net worth individuals or institutional investors, but the financial products that we create for our customers is actually, we do believe that to build wealth, you need to be able to invest into where Vietnam is going, and that is reflective of our flagship product, My Green, where we allocate a
Mm.
portion of the portfolio into green energy companies. Most recently, My Cash is a cash management solution that has a portion of the investments in supply chain finance. So supply chain finance and green energy companies, I think these are the two things that I do think that these themes are the things that where Vietnam is going. We innovate on the financial products that we structure in partnership with our asset managers and also the services in helping you build your wealth.
Wow, Miss CEO, that's a very polished pitch.
I think it could be better, but
I think that was a really great pitch to dive into a little bit about your building journey into My Money and like entrepreneurship. Why entrepreneurship? Why did you decide this is the path for you?
yeah, I think honestly, with entrepreneurship, I've always wanted to build something for myself when I was younger, but not exactly knew what I would be building. It really stemmed from two reasons. One is actually through my parents, they are entrepreneurs themselves. They started from ground zero. So I've always admired what they were able to do, especially my dad. He had the same experiences as me. So went to Australia, did university there, and also started his corporate career before building his own things. So I could see the level of resilience that both of my parents have and to be able to wanting to create something that has an impact to others and also provide for myself and my sister. I've always really looked up and admired what my parents were able to do. And to see a journey at such a young age made me really want to do something for myself and challenge myself. And my parents always pushed me to do something that I wanted to do that led me into entrepreneurship. And I think also the second reason is actually we did service learning at UNIS in high school. I think it was grade 10 where we had to create a personal project. I decided to build a playroom for the children at the pediatric hospitals. These children were diagnosed with cancer at such a young age. I was able to raise 1,000 USD to build the playroom. although I thought it was a small gesture, the level of impact that I could see, like how the kids you really feel about their day-to-day lives and just see a smile on their faces, I think that really led me to wanting to create something that make an impact. At the
Mm,
time, it was something that I thought was small, that I could do more, but just a little gesture could go a long way. So I think
mm,
that those are the two key reasons why I've always wanted to do entrepreneurship and be able to create something that people need and make an impact on people's
mm,
lives. Yeah, I think the eye-opening part is a
mm,
volunteer trip. I
mm.
think that was something that I was like, I wanted to do something. I was really set on doing something, but it's some time for the future. Just started my own journey. I'm very thankful and fortunate to have my parents supporting me because they've gone through it themselves. So they
Mhm.
know the struggles, they know the hardships to be able to hear from their experiences and resonate with them. So that's yeah, just very thankful.
Wow, that's such a awesome journey. And just speaking of all of that, let's rewind a little bit. So you were
Mm.
living what a lot of people would call the dream immigrant life, Vietnamese immigrant life.
Yeah.
You came from a prestigious education, university, and then you like have really glorious corporate career, right? And so what made you decide to take a huge step? What was going on in your mind?
I was 25. I had such a great career and the support network that I had from work and the people that I've met along the way. But I think when I decided to quit my job, I felt that I wanted to see finding a calling for myself. I'll just, see where things go. Although I do not recommend quitting your job without something lined up, but
Mm,
that was what I did. And then I decided to come back home to Hanoi. I knew that I wanted to do something in fintech, but I didn't know
mm,
exactly what I'd be doing. The fintech scene in Vietnam, there's a lot of players at the moment, and it's quite booming. But I do see that there's like a gap in the market for wealth solutions. I studied finance and worked in finance, but sometimes you don't have enough time to manage your investments, especially in the
mm-hmm,
stock market where you have to have a lot of time to research the market. Sometimes you need more knowledge about the market. At the time, I did not have the time to manage that. And I think that for the problem with myself and just to be able to have something that is very simple to use, new professionals handling the investments was something I was looking for. I was, speaking with a lot of people in Vietnam and I see there's a need for that. And I think that when I noticed that there was a demand for those sort of solutions and experiencing that myself, and I think that was like a click that this is what I wanted to do. The problem that I was trying to solve, there's a customer demand to have that problem solved. And also the timing was right. I'm based in Vietnam and this coming into the plate. And I'm
mm-hmm.
like, okay, let's see how it is.
I want to like dive into what you just shared, especially as like Vietnamese women, we are
Yeah.
perfectionists. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
No, for
maybe like
sure.
I'll stay in the corporate life for a few more years to get that experience and then I build something, right? What makes you decide I have to do this right now? This is it.
I think a lot of people are not always ready, but for myself, it was something that I was experiencing throughout when I realized that just from talking to people before even creating the product itself, we created a couple prototypes. It was just more about like understanding the market and what people are
Mm,
feeling in terms of investing because I have that problem myself. I was interviewing people around the same age as myself in corporate careers. They were saying that they are not really investing and just put their money into a low rate, no term demand savings account that's yielding 0.1% because they
yeah.
don't have enough time to manage their investments. And I think that because kept on seeing the same trend, I think then I do realize that there was a demand for it. We created this waiting list. We had like a landing page, waiting
Yeah.
list highlighting the problem and what we're trying to build. And we have accumulated around 1,500 signups. That was a great indicator that there's a strong demand for those solutions. So I think that was the validation I needed to keep going forward.
Yeah.
I had a lot of support when I first started. I'm very fortunate to be where I am today, especially both my friends, people I met along the way, my parents, supporting not just the work side of things, but emotional support. Yeah,
Mm,
especially building something on your own. It can be daunting. So you do need
yeah.
that support network when you
Yeah.
first started. It's a combination of a lot of things. Yeah.
It's very practical for you to validate the market or the problem by just create a
Yeah.
fake
No, for
landing
sure.
page, see how
Yeah.
people like a wait list and see how people sign up. You can spend a little bit money on there and then you just like test and see
Yeah.
like how your landing page perform
Mm,
just to validate. It's like
yeah.
such a cheap way to validate the problem before like you build anything, right?
Yeah, because if you start building something where you don't really know the problem well, or who you're creating that solution for, that
Yeah.
would waste a lot of your time, your energy, and you're creating a product that no one uses. So it's nice artwork. It's really important to start small. You don't need to spend so much time on validating the like t time to validate the problem or resources. You just need to do that iteratively. And then
Yeah.
once you do see that there was a solution to a problem that people need, and that's when you actually put a lot of the resources into that.
Tell me a bit more about you grew up, spent a lot of time in Vietnam. Your formal professional education and early career was in
Yeah.
Australia. So you have a lot
Yeah.
of exposure to Australian market, consumer trends and behaviors. Was it a big culture shock? How did you ramp up in terms of understanding customer behavior in Vietnam to build this product?
In Australia, it's quite a developed market with investment apps and wealth solutions. There are a lot of that in
Yeah.
Australia. I think that people are quite well versed into using that. And I think financial literacy is also good. They understand the level of risk and reward and start early. The market in Australia is quite mature. In Vietnam, when I first came back, I had an inkling that it would be a little bit different, a little bit of a shock as well, that a lot of people around our age or even younger are really investing, although they are
Yeah.
picking up the trends that they should start early and they do put a lot of money into the stock market or crypto. But I do see that the customer trends in Vietnam are a little bit different. And even the customers from the north and the south, their behaviors are also different and
Mm,
risk tolerance as well. When I first came back, I think the shock was the difference between the two markets in Australia and Vietnam. Vietnam is still getting there. Customer needs are a little bit different. We first have to start in the beginning where you allocate your money to start investing. If you
yeah.
don't have any savings, you should start building up those savings before you even think about investing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that from Vietnam, you needed to start a little bit smaller to help people get to the stage where they can actually invest. I think it was a little bit of a shock.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
for when you go into this market, you were probably competing with the banks, but also not really. There's not really a product in this market right now. Did you have a hard time trying to gather the consumer behavior data you need
Yeah.
to build this? How would you recommend someone who like wants to penetrate like the Vietnamese market but don't know how to even analyze consumer behavior? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had to gather a lot of the data when you first start out. I think it's especially in a startup where it's quite early stage and you don't have that much information or analytics in place. So a lot of that is
Yeah.
just customer interviews to really understand what they're going through and how they manage their investments or are they
Mm-hmm.
even investing. So I think that at the time, I think it was just mostly just to do customer interviews and then obviously
Mm-hmm.
we synthesize those information later. But yeah, I think we try to do as many as we can, but I think we just do that over time as well. It's not just that we need 1,000 data points to determine a problem, but I think it's just from the conversations that we have. And we wanted to validate that with a prototype. So we did around 25 to 50 interviews before creating a
Mm-hmm.
prototype. And then we reviewed
Yeah.
that back to those customers and also new customers
Mm-hmm.
as well, potential customers. So I think that just do the process iteratively. I think that just don't spend too much time on it. I think just do that over time. And you
Yeah.
don't have to have a lot of resources to be able to do that. You can just reach out to people on LinkedIn, which
Yeah.
that's I think that's what I did.
Yeah.
And also just really understanding them. So I think that's important. Yeah.
Was there any moment on your journey so far that you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. I might need to go back to Australia. Yeah.
I think there were many. I'd be lying if I said I didn't.
Yeah.
I knew that going into something like this would be difficult, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that I fully grasped how difficult it is only until I started. I miss my life back in Australia, my work and my friends and colleagues that people that I've met along the way, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm very thankful to be, and I'm meant to be where I am today from based on the experiences that, of course, I've had those moments where things don't go into plan or there are setbacks, or I think that's quite normal, especially when you go through life, not just running your own startup. But yeah, I think it's important. I think at the time I learned how to deal with it. I think just push through. Setbacks will come and things might not go your way and it might be harder than expected, but it's important to push through those challenges and
Yeah.
also be to make sure that you have a strong support network. I think I've stressed this before. Have people that support you, both mentors and advisors when you first started, but
Mm-hmm.
also people that can support you emotionally.
What was the biggest culture shock or surprise when you first moved back or in your journey right now?
Honestly, not really a shock, but one thing that was a bit difficult was working in Vietnamese. In a corporate or startup or work context, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Growing up in Vietnam, like my experiences, I've never really worked in Vietnam. I did a couple of internships, but never officially worked. So I think even just like the company culture, I think what people like to do is a little bit different than what I had experienced in the past. Because I've lived here, I don't think it was much of a shock in terms of navigating my personal life, but more on the work setting because I've never really had that experience before.
Yeah.
The culture is a little bit different, and also working in Vietnamese. I'm still going through it. I think my Vietnamese is getting better. I think that's important.
How would you advise someone who is maybe living in overseas and want
Yeah.
to ramp up on their Vietnamese, especially at the professional settings? What do you
Oof.
do to you'll watch like movies? How would you recommend them to ramp it up?
Yeah, I think it can be daunting at first. That's what I
Yeah.
experienced when I first came back. I do still mix a little bit of English and Vietnamese when I speak with my team.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would speak in English. You need to make sure that your team understands too. So just make sure that you push yourself out there and just try your best. I think that I'm not scared you're saying something wrong, but I think you just need to do it to be able to learn
Yeah.
from it. But I think what helped me, I think definitely watching and listening to Vietnamese songs or
Yeah.
movies. I think that definitely helped me and also just socializing with my team. I think I would take them out and we understand the little Vietnamese lingos. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
some slangs, but corporate setting wise, I started reading a lot, different papers or even the contracts as well at MaiMoney. So I think just try to upskill yourself. And I think if you don't understand it, you can also always Google Translate it. I try to read a lot, news, contracts, or different papers.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to immerse yourself in the Vietnamese language, but also the culture, right? Because the language itself is evolving so quickly with the Gen Z. I really have to keep up.
Because we had a lot of Gen Z team members. I think there are certain things that when they say to each other, I don't really understand. So I would tell them like,
Yeah.
"Hey, what does that mean?" But I sound really like an older Gen Z. We're
Yeah.
both Gen
Like,
Z. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, boomers. So I was like, "What does that mean? Can you elaborate on that?" And they're like, "Oh, you don't know that?"
Tell me what is the most rewarding moment so far with you and My Money?
It's been such a transformative journey for myself. I've never been happier, the happiest I've ever been. I think the most rewarding thing, honestly, I wouldn't be able to do this with my team and just to create a product that people want to use. It does take a little bit of time to do that. It's important to celebrate the small wins with the team. So I think the most rewarding is to be able to create a product people love and also just being able to navigate the setbacks and challenges with my team. I'm very thankful that I have a great team that really believes in the vision of the company and in myself. And to be able to have such a supportive team members and very passionate as well, and wanting to obviously disrupt the space and creating a solution that people want to use. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but if I can pinpoint, it's the hard work my team has put in to build this product and we validate it with the market, but also going through the whole journey with such supportive and passionate people. That's been the
Yeah.
most rewarding.
And how do you think you have grown as a person?
I definitely have grown both personally and professionally. And it has been such a exciting time in my life. But I think
Mm,
that I became a bit more adaptive and resilient. One of the most important skill that you probably need when you go when you go through life, not just in your career, in your personal life as well. When you go through, you're building something. There's a lot of challenges and setbacks, so you need to push through, know your purpose, and learn from those setbacks. How you learn from it is what's important. And also be a bit more flexible. Because I think before I'm a perfectionist, I wanted to make sure it's perfect to be able to launch it, but I became a bit more flexible and also being adaptable.
mm,
I think my leadership style has also changed. I became a lot more empathetic and also communicative to the team because the product itself is one thing, but the most important thing is your team. And my leadership style has changed because it's important to hear their perspectives, especially when product building or any feedback that they have in general. And also when you're building product as well,
mm,
you need to hear your customers. Sometimes you don't know exactly like what you think. It might not always be right, but you need to hear what your customers are feeling and how like take their feedback and iteratively improve your products. On a personal level, I've learned to appreciate the small wins. Like any small wins is also a win. So I think obviously celebrating that with your team and just making sure that we're still motivated to create this product. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like a lot of growth, a lot of
Yeah.
learning as a leader and as like a personal level as well. And so if baby Nhi, like 18-year-old Nhi, were to look at the current Nhi, what do you think she'll be very surprised by?
Yeah, honestly, I think she'd be very proud. Baby
Yeah.
New would be very proud of where I am, although I think a little bit unexpected to see the process that I've been going through, and she'd be proud of the hard work that I put in. But I think she'll also be amazed about technology as well, like how it
Mm,
has changed, especially to create a platform that helps people manage their finances. She'll be quite amazed and shocked.
mm,
Yeah, like I think like she has always been very curious and
mm.
passionate. So I think all I can say is very
Yeah,
proud.
I remember her.
Yeah.
Yeah, very kind, always so kind, so thoughtful, and so passionate. That
Oh.
hasn't changed. I say that with a lot of truth. Before we wrap up, what is one advice that you would give to a Viet Boss babe who, thinking about making her next move?
Just do it. It's very rewarding. And once in your life, you should do something that you're passionate about. It doesn't necessarily have to be starting a business, but doing something that you love, that's the most important thing. It has been a very rewarding experience. Take the
Mm,
risk, and see what you can do from there. When you are doing something that you're passionate or if you're building something, it's important to prioritize yourself, but also make sure that you have a balance. One thing that I've learned is that I think even before building my money, I was very focused on one thing in my life to be happy. You have to be quite like 360 degrees. So make sure that you prioritize yourself, your health, and also people that you love. I think that's very important. Having that balance is something that I strive to have, and I'm still learning to this day.
yeah, having a balance. Thank you, Nhi, for your time today. Before we wrap up on Viet Boss Babes, we usually have a little section called Tap Phanh, where it's just three simple questions in Vietnamese, and then you'll be answering in Vietnamese. Are you ready for
Yeah,
it? Okay.
I'm ready for you with the
Okay.
questions.
Trước khi chúng mình kết lại cuộc trò chuyện hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ đến với màn thả phanh. So basically là tớ sẽ đặt ra ba câu hỏi chớp nhoáng và cậu sẽ phải trả lời nhanh nhất có thể và không được lưỡng
Oh,
lự. No pressure. Ok, Nhi sẵn sàng chưa?
okay.
Ok, ok. Câu hỏi thứ nhất là nếu phải chọn một món ăn Việt Nam để ăn đến cuối đời Nhi sẽ chọn món gì?
Ồ, thực ra là cũng rất là khó để chọn đấy nhá. Nhưng mà nếu như phải chọn nhanh thì cái này là cũng khá là... Nhi thích ăn bún chả.
Bún
Thế là
chả.
bún chả là favorite food của Nhi, nên là nếu như mà Nhi được ăn cả đời chắc Nhi sẽ ăn.
Xem đúng là kiểu chết gái Hà Nội cũng thế. So, câu hỏi thứ hai là một sai lầm trong cuộc sống mà để lại một bài học đáng giá.
Thực ra cái mà sai lầm nhất là Nhi làm là hồi xưa là Nhi cũng làm cũng nhiều khi bận này hoặc là bị stress ý, nên là
Ừm,
nhiều khi là cũng sẽ focus vào công việc nhiều quá ấy. Nhưng mà mình lại quên mất những
ừm,
cái phần khác, cân bằng những cái phần khác trong cuộc sống như là gia đình hoặc là bạn
ừm,
bè hay là
ừm,
sức khỏe bản thân ấy. Nên
ừm,
là Nhi cũng thấy là lúc lúc mà nhận ra rồi ấy, thì lúc đấy là Nhi cũng muốn là kể cả bây giờ khi mà làm Nhi run một cái startup thì Nhi cũng muốn là make sure là mình phải có một cái sự cân bằng giữa cuộc sống ấy. Thì
ừm,
công việc cũng là một phần, nhưng mà để mà thực ra là hạnh phúc, để happy thì mình cũng nên dành những cái thời gian cho bản thân mình này, dành những thời gian
ừm,
cho bạn bè, dành những thời gian cho người thân yêu của mình ấy. Thì Nhi
ừm,
thấy là thực ra cái đấy là cái bài học đáng giá, mà thực ra là bài học lớn nhất của Nhi ấy. Nên
ừm,
là Nhi nghĩ là mình cũng nên focus vào công việc, nhưng mà cũng sẽ có, thực ra cuộc sống nó có nhiều hơn những cái việc đó chứ không phải là mỗi công việc
ừm.
không. Ừ.
Ok, và câu hỏi cuối cùng là slogan trong cuộc sống của Nhi là gì?
Ừ, Nhi nghĩ là thực ra là kiên trì, nên là nên rất là kiên trì để thực ra là nếu như mà mình chịu khó này, mình kiên trì thì nếu như để đạt được một cái mục tiêu nào đó thì Nhi nghĩ là cái đấy là cũng là cái điều quan trọng nhất. Thì thực ra thì mình cứ mặc dù là có những cái sự khó khăn trong cuộc sống, nhưng mà quan trọng nhất là mình cũng cần phải push through, và cái sự chăm chỉ và hard work, thì cái đấy là cái quan trọng để đạt được cái mục tiêu
Mm,
của mình.
Okay, so thank you so much, Yi, for your time today. And how can the audience support your entrepreneurship journey and your initiatives?
They can support me through, you can follow MaiMoney on Instagram. It's MaiMoney Nguyen. You can also check out our website. It's maimoney.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And so thank you for the audience for tuning in. And I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.